in fighting shape. It's rainy. Not motivated.
It's the perfect day.
It's the perfect day to talk about motivation. That's what we're talking about today. You know those people who are overly motivated? I don't like those people.
I love it. I love it.
hate those people.
Train harder.
Yeah. And sometimes I could be motivating. And sometimes I'm like today. And this is like the least motivated I've ever been in my life. And I'm gonna give myself leeway to explore.
Yes.
Exploration of being unmotivated. And someone who knows a little bit about motivation is a motivational speaker and train. Don't you feel like a dick when I call you a motivational speaker? You do, right?
Yeah, because it's totally not true.
Because you picture yourself like Chris Farley.
Yeah.
Living in a van.
Down by the river.
We're doing the body language right now.
You gotta do the Chris Farley.
You gotta do it.
And then you gotta pull your belt up.
Really high.
Over your gut.
If you do watch that skit, you will see David Spade can't keep it together. Yeah. And it's him and Christina Applegate, and they just can't keep it together as he's doing it. But
I live in the van down by the river.
And for those of you who aren't 90s babies, Chris Farley was just like brilliant in his approach to comedy.
Physical comic.
Yeah.
Super good.
Yeah. So funny and endearing and sweet. But back to motivation.
Woo!
Chris is back. If you guys listen to the first episode, Chris Flores is here. He's one of my closest friends and, a trainer.
The original Dundada on this show.
My very first guest and a really good friend of mine. So what we're doing is we're going to talk about motivation, and we'll talk about a lot of bullshit motivation too, because the self-help industry exploded around the early to mid 90s.
Cha-ching, cha-ching,
Yeah,
cha-ching.
and with The Secret and all that type of stuff. Actually, I want to play and look up Dave Chappelle's comments on The Secret. Have you ever seen that?
I've never seen it.
Google.
I did, however, see Dave Chappelle live in Denver. It
Really?
was magnificent. One of the best shows I've ever been to.
I'm going on the 23rd.
Sweet.
I'm going on the 23rd. So I'm very excited. It's Dave Chappelle and
in Radio City, right?
And Radio City and Mos Def. So, well, his name is not Mos Def anymore.
What is it? Pretty Flacco? It's
Yasim something. Sorry, Mos. I'll look it up. Anyway, So motivation. I've wanted to be honest about the fact that this is probably the heaviest I've been in a really long time. I've gained about 6 or 7 pounds, and when you're 5'1", that looks like 20 pounds. And I'm just not motivated. Mm-hmm. I'm just not motivated for 1,000,001 reasons. But when you're not motivated, you have to explore that. You have to understand why. Then you have to think about what motivates you, and then you have to think about what is motivation in the first place, right?
Yeah.
So, Chris, you have done a good job of motivating people individually as far as being a trainer. And then you've also motivated people as far as training trainers to train. That was a good sentence. Did you like that?
Trainer.
That was a really good sentence.
Trainer's favorite trainer.
Yeah. And then you've also motivated groups. And then you've been motivated yourself to deal with an amalgamation of things. So what the hell is motivation? What is it really?
Oh, man. Who knows? I think motivation is different for everybody. So you have some people who are motivated by money. They're motivated by fame. They're motivated by something external. There's a lot of people like that. And then you have people who are internally motivated. It's intrinsic motivation comes from some source that they don't even know, or it could be religion, or it could be just a belief they have. I think for me, motivation and inspiration, first of all, two different things. I think people confuse the two. I'm a motivational speaker or inspirational person. You can mix and match them if you need to. But for me, I think it was Zig Ziglar or Jim Rohn. I can't remember who said it. But they were saying motivation is like taking a shower. You got to kind of do it every day in order to continue going. So like in the mornings, I'll listen to YouTube or some kind of podcast, or I'll listen to you or whoever, just to get me motivated in the morning, because I might hear a gem. Like I remember you interviewed Rachel, and she was talking about running and everything else and some of the stuff she does. And I'm like, I got to go do that stuff, you know? Or some of the fighters you've talked about or interviewed, I might be driving in the morning and I hear them say like, those days I was exhausted and I was tired. I knew how to continue to train. And I'm like, I'm exhausted and tired. He must be talking to me, So that stuff would motivate me on the day-to-day thing. But as far as being inspired by something different, something internal, like inspirations to breathe into you. So breathe life into somebody. I think that stuff is more important and way more, lasts a lot longer than some of the motivation stuff. So that may be like, I'm doing this for my children, or I'm doing this for my significant other, or this is for my mom because she's looking down on me, or whatever. Right. Like that stuff really continues to keep going. But every once in a while, you need like a jump start to get you just in the zone.
Yeah. I think for fitness in general, it's very difficult because when you feel like you have so far to go and you're looking at such a very far road ahead, you can miss the motivation to do the little things or the daily tasks that will get you to the long run, to the long run. And I find things that used to motivate me don't work anymore. You know, like aesthetically pleasing stuff. It used to motivate me. Clothing used to motivate me more than anything else in the gym.
That's awesome.
I love, because I don't like to wear sweatpants all the time and I have to for work. So any opportunity to wear a dress, I'm like thrilled.
Right.
And now I don't look as good as I used to. But it used to trigger me like, I want to wear this, whatever. I'm going to train. I'm going to do this, and that so I can put that on. And I tried that trick this week, and I was like, no, Game of Thrones. I just want to watch Game of Thrones.
Eat ice cream and watch Game of Thrones on the couch.
Me and the dog just hang out right now. Like, I don't want to,
No, but I think as that right there is a huge point, because I feel like part of that is evolution. Like you've evolved as a person, so the superficial things no longer motivate you. So the dress doesn't really do as much because you have a significant other and you're happy and you're all this stuff. And it's kind of like, I really don't care about that stuff no more. And now the motivation may be, some higher up saying like, wow, great job. Like you want to impress the higher up, or somebody offers you a better opportunity or whatever. Right. So I think that's important to recognize, like to be in that space and be like, I'm not motivated by this stupid stuff. Let me find what really like drives me now, what like lights that fire under me. Then when you find that, it's like, oh, cool. Let me plug into that a little bit more.
So let me ask you this. What questions do you have to ask yourself to find the new motivation in order to get yourself? Because it's not that I don't want to be in as good a shape as I used to be. It's that I'm not as driven to do it anymore, possibly because of lifestyle, because I just have so much more on my plate. And to get that lean feels like a full-time job. But it is important. So it's like, okay.
But is it really that important? Because if it was that important, like when you were fighting, that was a whole different thing. So your motivation is like, I got to make weight so I can knock this chick out.
Right.
Or else I don't have to have my fun for that, a couple rounds.
Yeah.
But now that you don't have that motivation, it's like, I don't have to be that lean. So then why would someone chase that level of leanness, right? That's that's a whole deeper thing to get into. Like, why do I really want what I say I want? And most people never ask that question. They just like, oh, I want to lose 15 pounds. Or I want to be shredded. I want abs. For what? What purpose do you want those abs for? And when you start diving into the why behind all that, that's where you can actually motivate somebody. And that's where most fitness people are missing, or trainers or anything. When someone comes in, it's like, oh, you want abs? Oh, you want a nice chest? Oh, don't you want good arms? Well, maybe they don't care about their arms. Maybe they just want to be able to pick up their kid off the ground. So you're motivating them for what you think they want, not even knowing what they want.
Well, how do you know what your clients want? What specific questions are you asking them, or asking them to ask themselves? Because sometimes people don't know why they want what they want either. They just assume that perfection equals happiness. Therefore, I need to work towards what I think is perfect, or
what society's told me is perfect.
Right.
Which is more often than not, that's the case. I think the most important question is why. If you can just, like Simon Sinek's book says, start with why. And it's like, you start with why. Why do you want to get that shape? Why do you want this physique? All right. Someone says, and I've had this before with a client, not to say their name, obviously, but a woman came in saying, I want to lose 20 pounds. I'm like, why? Well, that was the weight when I had first got married. All right. So you just want that 20? Why? What was different back then? And she was like, well, that's when I had met my husband. Now she's divorced. I was like, okay. So
it's revenge fat.
Right, it was revenge. But then you start digging deeper. Why? Because when I was that weight, I felt better. I felt this. All right, why did you feel better at that weight? And then you dive into it. She was more confident. She felt sexier. She felt great taking her clothes off. She felt like she was worthy of having a husband. And then as the weight got on and years got on, she felt less and less herself and motivated and worthy of a certain physique. So she had to get all the way back to that. It got to the point where she was just crying in the office. And I was like a younger trainer. And to be all honest, the only reason I asked all those questions was because like 2 weeks before we had a whole sales thing and like sales training. So like you had to give these questions and make sure you do this and ask that and ask why. And I'm just like, why, right?
Like a child.
Like a child. But she kept going and she kept digging deeper and she broke down. Like she was hysterically crying, like, no, like, it's my husband and this, and we broke up because of that. And I didn't feel this. And I'm like, the whole thing was she just didn't feel confident and worthy. And she felt losing the 20 pounds would get her that confidence back. But the cool part about that is now when I'm training her, or when I did train her back then, I didn't have to say like, run faster, run harder, scream at her. All I had to do was like, hey, you said you wanted to get back to that wedding weight. Yeah. Boom, trigger, got, and she was after it. So all you had to do, but if I never had that like carrot to dangle at her or to kind of give her that nudge to keep going, I would just be like, don't you want to lose 20 pounds? And she'd be like, no, F you, I don't want to lose 20 pounds. It's not the 20 pounds, it's the confidence you want to gain.
Well, look, sales and marketing there's a reason why certain marketing campaigns or salesmen are successful, because they are triggering the emotional response.
Yes.
That to make you think you need a certain thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm a sucker for like any skincare related. Like if it's skin related, like skin. I have purchased like a mirror, which is basically like I could see every pore on my face. This thing magnifies my face to the point of like I'm sure I could
extreme
use
close up.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
and then I bought another device which sucks out your blackheads. Like it's a little like suction cup, like sucks out. Like this is
like a leech.
It literally would just sucks your face and gets all every blemish off your face. I don't know why I'm motivated to spend my money on a face sucking machine, right? But that sounds awful, didn't it?
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
Anyway. So
it's like something you buy in jail.
But
I need a face sucking
you look
machine.
at the advertising has this girl with 0 pores, and I'm like, I want that.
Right.
So it's just interesting that marketing and advertising and asking the questions, figuring out what people want, getting you to want to buy something. I've had this discussion about Fight Club a million times, but it's okay to be a consumer. Mm-hmm. It's not okay to be consumed with being a consumer.
Yes.
Right?
True.
Where there's no big deal to buy something that you want. There's no big deal to want something. But when that want takes over to the point where you're irresponsible or anxious, where your anxiety is leading you down a dark place, that's the problem. But I find that people are sometimes not motivated to work out. I'm at a point where I'm not really motivated. I'm working out just enough to keep myself healthy,
right? But
not enough to push past that extra mile.
Yeah, but the other question to ask yourself, do you need it right now? Like, I think there's highs and lows in training, because I find it myself. I'll go through weeks or a month period where I'm just like, I can't wait to get to work out this day, boom, 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 boom. And then I'll hit a plateau where I'm just like, I don't feel like doing it nowadays. But the key thing that you said is that you're just worked out just enough to stay healthy.
Yeah.
Because then you don't fall so far off the wagon. You just take 2 steps back. And then when you get back on the wagon, you take 15 steps forward and you're like, all right, cool. That was just a little low I went through, which I think is important in training schedules. A lot of people do not, in trainers and fighters and a lot of people, they don't take that recovery time, which is necessary physically, but more importantly, emotionally, away from the gym. They just keep going. And some of the things we're going to talk about a little bit is some of the phrases that are complete BS, but people say them over and over again because they sound catchy and they sound cool. But people push themselves to a point of exhaustion, and then they have an image of what being in shape means. And to them, being in shape is this little window that they get to experience 4 weeks out of the entire year. And that window, they say that's the best shape I've ever been in.
Right.
And then everything gets compared to that. And that's when people get screwed up. It's like having a real amazing ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend, and like you compare everyone to the ex, and you're like, damn, she was amazing. How come I can't find that again? And then you're pissed off because I can never find, no one matches up to that person.
And then you don't ever look at the value of what's right in front of you.
Exactly, because you're comparing everything to something. You're chasing ghosts at that point. I know Jay-Z has said that before. I'm chasing ghosts. Like, you're comparing me to people who've passed away already. Like, how am I supposed to measure up to something that's not even there anymore?
Right.
And I think people do that with gym.
And also how you built it up in your mind too. Because
you broke up for a reason, right? But all of a sudden they were the greatest thing. 6 years later, oh my God, she was amazing. Even her morning breath smelled like roses, right? And it's like, no, she didn't. That was terrible. Like, her fart stunk. It's the truth.
Yeah, I had a girlfriend of mine who was like totally into this guy, and she like put him up completely on a pedestal, and we were at like a diner or whatever, and this was like, I don't know, a couple months ago, and she didn't even recognize him. He had she didn't even recognize him. I was like, no, that's Bobby, right? And she was like, no, it's not. I'm like, that's him. And he was like chubby and kind of, he looked like the world had hit him pretty hard.
Like the world like put powder on his hand, slapped him in the face.
Yeah. It looked. Speaking of powder, he was ashy as hell too. And I was just like, that's him. No, it's not.
Ashy Larry's your.
Yeah, it's like, that's Bobby. I'm telling you.
Man.
But anyway, the point is that your mind and how you perceive things is definitely a big issue. But that I'm interested to know what motivational quotes you think are bullshit.
All right, so here's what I did for a top 5. We can go 10, if you want. But I put it on Facebook and said what motivational quotes are BS that people believe in. And one of the ones I say is complete BS is, if it was easy, everyone would do it. Because there's so many things that are super easy to do. You're just not going to do it anyway. If it's easy, hard, or whatever, like, it's really easy to pick up broccoli and put it in your mouth and consume it. Like, simple. Like, stop eating French fries and eat vegetables. That's not a hard thing to say. It's very easy. People just don't want to do it. So when they say it feels easier, it is easy. You just don't want it. You're too lazy to do it.
Yeah.
Obviously,
it's about choices.
It's about choices. Yeah. It's not if it was easy, everybody would do it. Just like saving money. Like, for every $10 you make, put $2 away. Yeah,
save 10% of every piece of income.
Right.
It's
not super difficult. It's not super hard. People just don't do it.
It is hard when there's a machine that sucks pimples out of your face. Anyway.
It's hard to invest in anything but that. I know this one will resonate with you, where it's pain is weakness leaving the body.
Yeah, that's fucking bullshit. Pain is a warning that something's wrong.
There's something seriously wrong. Pain's a signal your brain is sending to you, said, hey, idiot, stop doing this.
Right.
Or you're doing this wrong, and that's why I'm giving you pain.
Discomfort and pain are different. It's very important for people to understand the difference between discomfort. When you lift a heavy weight, it's uncomfortable.
Right. Unless it's too heavy and you blow out your disc, then that's really pain.
Yes.
Which means that's not weakness. That's you blow out your disc and did something stupid.
I hate that expression.
But everyone uses it. Pain is temporary. This is forever. Pain is weakness leaving the body. It's like, that's not. Like, I'm really hurting, dude. Like, you need to understand. And I think it happens a lot in the fight culture. And now with the new high intensity training and everyone trying to go balls to the wall all the time, every session, 7 days a week, you got to push yourself to the max. And it's like, no, you don't. Like, that's the complete opposite of what you should be doing. But they believe that pain is weakness leaving the body.
I always believe in Eastern philosophy, and in Eastern philosophy, if you look at the yin and yang, a circle is only complete if both sides are equal.
Right.
So the rest and recovery is the same, amount of space as the hard. That's the way it's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. It's very difficult for people to understand that concept. It's very difficult for me until physically my body was like, I don't really care.
You got to the point of no return. Your body now says, hey, you're done. We're just resting now because you just destroyed me for like 15 years straight.
Yep.
The other one that goes along with that one's no pain, no gain.
Yeah.
And like you said, discomfort when you're lifting, when you're training, there's going to be a certain level of soreness you're going to go through in certain things. But the no pain, no gain, you have to watch that line where you go over where the pain is actually something, you have a stress fracture. Like people run, like, oh, I run all the time, keep running. No, your shins literally are fractured because there's something in your foot, something wrong with your ankles, something in your hip. So there's something that you could be helped with, but you're too much of a knucklehead, you want to push through it. Mm-hmm. And now that minor shin pain goes to a complete stress fracture, goes to a knee, you can bleed anywhere.
No, it's funny. My mentor is a Navy SEAL. So I was like pushing myself to do Muay Thai on like 2-3 hours of sleep. Mm-hmm. So he was like, why are you doing that? And I was like, well, you would do it. Like if you're out sometimes on the field, you've got no sleep and you have to fight a war. He's like, people are trying to kill me. I don't have a choice.
Yeah,
you can go to sleep. Mm-hmm. Like, don't try to be a Navy SEAL if you're not a Navy SEAL.
Exactly.
And I was like, oh, I thought I was like being like tough.
Yeah, like, you thought you were representing. Like, yeah, look at me. It's almost like, you know how I look at it? It's like the people in jail who got locked up for like selling drugs and keeping it real, whatever. Yeah. And you got kids in the street like, I'm keeping it real. And the people in jail like, no, you don't want to come in here. Like, stop keeping it real. Like, I'm acting this way because I have to survive in here. Like, you're good out there.
I hate keeping it real because of my cousin's, like, she's so dumb. She's like, New Yorkers are real. New Yorkers are real. Because I was talking about how everyone is nice everywhere else I've been traveling to. And like how I loved Oklahoma. Like they were so cool.
Right.
And she was like, yeah, but they're not as real as New Yorkers. So I was like, you mean like really rude? Because that's how they're real. They're really rude.
Yeah.
You know, like you don't have to be that way to be real. I know keeping it real is mine.
Yeah. Don't be a jerk just to keep it real.
Yeah. All right.
That's the one yours keeping it real. The other one goes along with the training stuff is train insane or remain the same. Like, do you really have to train insane? Like, how hard does your training have to be to get a certain result? Like, if you look at like true bodybuilders,
right.
not the knucklehead in your local gym who wears a belt and wrist guards and gloves and a headband and a pouch and says he's a bodybuilder. No, like real bodybuilders.
Yeah.
Like they train super smart. Like they measure their calories. They know what they can lift. You know, they actually go lighter.
Yeah, they're like chemists.
Like chemists. They're not like throwing 500 pounds on the bench just to prove they can do it. Like most true bodybuilders don't lift crazy heavy.
But if we're playing with semantics, right? Let's just say that people are taking these things the wrong way. Like by insane, they mean pushing past your limitations or going harder than the average Joe. Like maybe we're being too literal, right? Just to be fair. But I still like the conversation.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And it does to a point. You may say that to somebody. And I've said these stuff before, so I'm not like completely bashing. I just think when you break it down, it is kind of funny. Like, go big or go home.
Yeah. Like, big what?
Exactly.
Like, what's big?
What's your definition of big? You know, maybe I went big.
We could be like Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy and like not be able to take sarcasm or
not at all.
Take everything literally.
We can't digest it. One that my friend Stella put up was, and it's kind of funny, is Nike's slogan is just do it.
Right.
Like, do what? And what do you mean just? Like, are you going to plan before you do something? Like, sometimes people take action too soon with a lot of the stuff they do, and then it's like, oh, wow, now they're sitting back like, I just completely messed something up, just going for it. And yes, you do learn from mistakes, and then you have to, be careful on that end, but just do what? Like, I don't know.
What?
Like what?
Do it what? What
do it how or when or what's going on here?
Yeah, just do it. What else?
That's all we got. I mean, I have some more I can look online, but that's some of the major ones that I think people take wrong or take too literal. And I'm sure with you, with Muay Thai and in the fight world, have heard your fair share of slogans that you're kind of like, oh, why would you say that?
Yeah, I'm just like, no rest day or like you'll sleep when you're dead.
Mm-hmm. Work now, sleep when you're dead.
Yeah, like you'll sleep when you're dead. That's actually the one that bothers me the most because actually you'll be dead if you don't sleep. It's like the opposite, because I went without sleep for so long and then I just killed myself.
Yeah, you just feel terrible the whole time.
Right.
And you think about like recoveries. We always talk about it. I mean, you constantly have this conversation. Most people don't realize how important recovery is. Like sleep's when your body actually rejuvenates and the tissues heal and all that good stuff happens while you're sleeping.
And the quality of sleep. So I'll give you an example. Game of Thrones
which was awesome last night.
Really ruin my life.
Okay.
Because
elaborate.
I've been told by a sports psychologist that before I go to bed, I have to actually start to like turn my brain down. Mm-hmm. And Arya Stark is like my spirit animal.
She's amazing.
She is my favorite. If Arya dies, I'm gonna go to that dude's house and be like, why did you do this to me?
I want her to be queen, but that's a whole nother conversation.
So I couldn't fall asleep. I could not fall asleep for 2 hours.
Because of the fight scene?
She had a sword, and I was like, that's it. My brain is on overdrive.
The needle came out.
Yeah. And then she had the Valerian steel.
The dagger?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was a mess, and Victor had to talk to me for 2 hours until I finally relaxed to go to sleep. But the reason why I bring it up is you have to also think about what you're doing to your brain before you go to bed because hyperstimulus, extra stimulus, negative thoughts, like all those things will affect your ability to take deep, relaxing, regenerative sleep. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, you get so caught up with the adrenaline, and that's one of the things that I know Eric Thomas always talks about. Sleep is for suckers, and if you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. And he talks a lot about not sleeping. And he was asked in an interview when someone was talking to him about it, and he was basically like, obviously you need to sleep. Like I'm not telling, but the people I'm talking to, my demographic or my audience, are people who are inherently lazy and are doing nothing, and all they do is rest all day. So I need to get to another extreme to hopefully balance them out.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about don't sleep, go as hard as you
he's
can.
using it figuratively as like don't sleep on life,
on the
value,
opportunities. Exactly. And most people don't see that. And that's one of the things that as you become more famous and someone like yourself who's getting more and more of an audience and everything else, it's like you almost have to explain yourself more as you get to the top, or you have to be a little more cautious of things you say.
Oh, yeah.
Because you go out there and like, hey, everybody, just like take your pants off and slap someone in the face. And you have people.
What the I'm sure I would say that.
You never know. You might say that. And then all of a sudden, people in New York City is dropping trousers and slapping people.
Slapping people with their like hands, or I don't know. I'm just trying to be literal here.
See, if you can see me, this wasn't a podcast. You see, I had my hand out, but yeah.
Okay. All right. So motivation that does not work. Well, who knows? Like these quotes could work for you. But what motivates you, Chris?
Life. I know that's a cop-out answer, but there's so much. Like that's why I love scrolling through and having certain friends on Facebook. And I know you have thousands of followers, and I'm sure some people you follow back and you're like, oh, I'm done following that person.
No, I honestly like to set. I'm very selective about what I put into my brain, which is why I have a hard time with hip hop music nowadays, because I'm very influenced by pop culture. I just have that type of brain where images or words or music affects me very, very hard. Yeah. And I know that about myself. So if somebody's negative, I won't unfriend them, but I'll unfollow them. So my newsfeed seems like the greatest newsfeed in the world, because all that
it's
has
awesome
like positivity and like cool martial arts stuff or good quotes or great music or Game of Thrones and shit. Like that's all my thread is, because I don't like to, as soon as someone says something like a little suspect, there's a few people I got to keep on there because we're friends. And I'll actually, if they're fucking you know exactly what I'm talking about. If their posts suck, it's actually amusing to me.
Yeah, certain people you put because you know, like that's like your crazy drunk friend that you know you're gonna bring to the party. Like I know what they're gonna do, but they're like, you know, deep down they're a great person and they have a good heart, so you keep them around. Right. But you're like, I might get arrested because of this person.
Yeah.
But we'll also have a good time. So yeah, but I'm motivated by life. So Facebook and Instagram, the people I follow tend to have motivational speeches, or they do put motivational posts, or they put something inspiring, or they'll share some story about some charity work that they've done or they saw. So that stuff inspires me. And then honestly, like just little things that people do. Like it can be a random act of kindness. Like see someone on the street, give someone an umbrella because, you know, it's a mom and her kid walking and someone hands them something. Like something like that will inspire me. Like, damn, like there are really great people out there. And there's stuff not being said. And I think there's some amazing people who are way too humble and too quiet to like promote themselves. And I know you, of all people, have a hard time with this. And I know I do as well, that sometimes we downplay our accomplishments because we don't want to seem like we're boasting or bragging to the world. Like, oh, look how amazing I am. I hang out with this person. I've talked to that person. But if we don't put those messages out there, other people who are looking to us for motivation or inspiration, well, now like we have almost an obligation to them to say, hey, look at these accomplishments. And then we have to kind of dress it in a way so it looks like we're not bragging about it. And it's tough. You have to walk that line. The more popular you get, the more fame you get, the more influence you get over people. You have to be really careful about how you're boasting and bragging about, hey, me and Jay-Z had lunch today. Look at us. Like, you know.
Well, I'll tell you a story, and goes along the lines that when we first started talking about this. There's a woman, her name is Barbara Barner. She's my on-camera acting hosting coach. And she, with 30 seconds, she met me and she was like, there's no technique I'm going to teach you. There's nothing you need to learn. Your problem is your confidence in yourself. And I'm like, I don't want to come off like a bitch.
Right.
I don't want to come off like I'm a know-it-all. I don't want to come off like, I don't want people to hate me because of that.
Right.
And she was like, you're being ridiculous. I want you to stand in front of the room full of people and tell everybody in here you're the coolest person in the room.
Right.
And I couldn't do it. And I would do it, but I'd do it like...
like giggling, like half-assed. Like, no, I'm not really that cool.
Yeah. And she was like, say it and mean it.
Right.
Or, and I couldn't do it. And she was like, okay, your assignment is to go home. And a lot of it has to do with being a woman too. Okay. Right? Because if you're demanding, if you're in charge...
So I might be a woman down deep down inside.
No.
The same issue.
You know, I found out that bats have the highest form of homosexuality in the animal kingdom.
Bats?
Yeah.
Is that because they're upside down all the time?
What the?
Oh, the blood's rushing to the head. They're like, I don't know if I'm gay or straight. Like,
You know, I can't even look at you like you're nuts for that because I'm the one who randomly gave the bat homosexuality comment. Anyway, so she was like, I want you to make a collage of women that don't come off bitchy. Because if you're like a boss, they call you a boss bitch. Like, I hate this expression now, that the boss bitch and all this shit. But anyway, they'll call you a bitch or think that you're bossy. Meanwhile, you're just in a position of power or, you know.
yeah.
And she's like, make a collage of women that are in charge that you don't think are a bitch, that you think are strong and powerful. How to really sit there and do this.
Okay.
And it did motivate me to see that there are these women out there that are in charge, that can be the head of something, that can be confident and brave and stand in front of a crowd and, you know, and be all right with that. Not have to downplay their accomplishments, not have to downplay themselves. And they're not super boastful either. And the biggest person that came out of that was Lucille Ball.
Wow. That's a good one.
Yeah. And it helped so much to know that a woman like that existed. And that helped motivate me because I was like, oh, this does exist.
Right.
It is possible. I think one of the hardest things is when you don't have idols and icons to look up to, because then you have to set your own path, and that can be hard too.
That's the thing. The hardest is the being an entrepreneur or a leader or a trailblazer. But who else? I'm curious who else was on that list besides Lucille Ball.
Well, because, you know, comedy is such a big thing to me, Tina Fey was.
Nice. Okay.
At the time, Ronda Rousey. At the time.
Okay.
Even Gina Carano, Rosario Dawson.
All right.
Angelina Jolie.
Okay.
Madonna, but I took that one off because
Okay.
she is a bitch. She's a bitch. Who else? It was a couple other women on there I just can't think of. But
Michelle Obama?
No,
that was before.
Actually, Michelle Obama wasn't on there. Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah. Balls.
Yeah.
And she's great. She's really good.
And this just like in entertainment, but there were like other political leaders and things like that on there as well. But it was helpful. It did help motivate me to know that it exists and it's a strong possibility.
Yeah, and that could be something that you can do on a regular basis, maybe not even towards women in the industry, but maybe say, who's my top favorite commentators I want to be like, or what do I admire about
well, it's
this,
easy.
this
I'm
and that
sitting
person?
next to them now at work,
Yeah,
which
exactly.
is amazing.
See?
You know, I sit there and I look at like, wow, I've been watching Ron Kruk for years, thought he was like, I used to joke around and call him Mr. Perfect because he was always get the question out. He always had the perfect question. He was always sharp and concise and oh man, I love that guy. I used to say that all the time. And then we go to like events and we'd be in a thing. And I didn't tell Ron this, but I'll tell him when I see him next. He would get the mic first and fucking ask the question I was going to ask. And I'm like, damn you, Ron Kruk.
That's it. Now you got to be that much better in order to stay in the same room.
Or try to get that
those guys.
microphone first. And I've been working on that, which was a confidence thing. And now I'm like, no, give me the fucking mic first. And I've definitely changed. And then Pat Miletich, who, you know, I sit right next to. And I think he's brilliant, you know. And he gave me confidence because he says things and I'm like agreeing with him. And I'm thinking before he says it. And I'm like, I must be good at this because Pat said it.
And I think it's also one of those things like the confidence thing is like, all right, well, these guys, it motivates me to be in their presence. It motivates me to be around them. And by you saying stuff, I'm sure they're motivated by you, which is even crazier. Like, you know, I hear all these young artists in hip hop or whatever be like, yeah, when such and such said, or like when J. Cole talks about the first time Nas was like, yo, Nas likes your stuff. And like, wow, your idol thinks you're cool and likes your stuff. And some people take that as like, oh my God, it's unbelievable. I can't believe that happened. And I think some people need to take that as like, damn, I'm really that good.
Yeah,
like you said, put that confidence in yourself. Like, damn, I'm freaking good at this. Like, I'm one of the best there is. Like, you need to really believe that in yourself in order to take it to another level. Because in order to stand in front of an audience of 30,000 people or 40,000 or whatever and be able to speak, like, that's so hard.
Right.
That's so tough for people.
So going back to motivation and what motivates you, how do you knowing that what you have to do, I mean, you do a lot of public speaking. You travel around the world and speak publicly, whether you're just giving a speech about a particular topic or you're teaching something. How do you motivate others?
My biggest thing is first to get them on your team. And that's what I think a lot of people miss when they start doing motivational speeches or whatever. And they're like, they just start yelling at the audience.
And
like,
you're like,
have to
I'm
be
the
motivated
king of the
again.
North.
Yeah, exactly. I'm Jon Snow. Listen to me, right? But even look, take that Game of Thrones reference. Someone like Jon Snow, why did they elect him to be king? Is because he sacrificed for the people. So he won their hearts first.
Right.
First you win the hearts, then you get everything else. Then you can get the mind and everything else. But first you have to emotionally attach to that audience first. I don't know what the audience wants from me. You know, you get up there, like, motivate me. It's like same thing, almost like comedy. You get up there, like, make me laugh. You're like, oh, damn, like, I got to make this person laugh. Laughter, whether it be motivation, that's some kind of emotion you're stirring up in that person. I got to find that somehow. So I think you have a plan of action when you go up there, but first you have to either connect with some kind of emotional story or something that they're going through. So you have to know your audience, and that's when that's important, to know who you're talking to, because I may say something about an inner city, yada, yada, and this is how this came about, and I'm talking to a room full of Ivy League people. They don't know anything about the inner city.
Right.
Maybe some do, but for the most part, these kids grew up in with silver spoons and stuff. They don't really care about this story, so that's not going to connect with them. So I got to pull something from somewhere else. So first you have to know your audience, get some kind of emotional attachment to what you're going to provide for them that day, and then you can build on that. You can't just start going in and saying what they need. You know, it's like saying, you got to be motivated. Put your hands up. Shake the person's hands next to you. Say hello. Like,
Oh my God, I hate it.
all that
I hate
stuff
that.
is
I hate when it's fabricated. And a friend of mine does this group. I'm not going to say. Anyway, she does this. She's a part of this thing, and in the middle of it, they'll be like, dance break. And then all of a sudden music will play out of nowhere and you're supposed to like dance.
it reminds me of the church lady. That's what comes to my head when you say dance break. It's the church lady.
And then they're like,
isn't that special?
hug everyone. And I'm like, I'm not affectionate. Like with my close friends, I'm super affectionate. Like, you know, I'm very much, I mind myself of like a cat. Okay. Where like a cat's close to you, it's cool. Right. And then after you pet it like 6-7 times, like, I'm good now. I'm going to lie on the couch.
Yeah, leave me alone.
I'm like that. So I'm affectionate and then I'm out. So with strangers, I'm like, oh. But they do that. And but it works for some people.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Some people need that.
Yeah, it works for them.
Yeah, some people definitely need that. And that's when you have someone like you'll hear one of my favorite speakers, like a Les Brown, and he'd be like, yeah, I bombed at this place. And you're like, Les Brown bombed? Like, how the heck did that happen? Like, the audience it wasn't the audience for, you know, that wanted that. It's like Chappelle talks about getting booed a lot. Like, recently he's gotten booed. And he's like, dude, it's going to happen. Like, my style of comedy is not for everybody. You know, I think he's legendary and one of the greatest of all time. But
I do too.
It's somebody may not like him and think this comedy sucks.
Okay, so you motivate people by connecting?
Yeah, you have to if there's no connection, the motivation's not going to happen. You can rah and try to get them riled up by just changing the energy of the room. And if you follow a lot of Tony Robbins, he talks about changing your state. So Tony Robbins will get people going up. If you watch a Netflix special, he's like, yeah, and he's like 9 feet tall and looks like an avatar, yelling at people. So it's easy to motivate when you're a monster, right? But he just gets up there and jump up and down. I'm Tony Robbins, and people love it. And they're like, yes, this is the energy I need. And he changes their physical state, which then now they have a heightened sense of awareness. Now you can deliver a message they'll actually respond to. And that's not even Tony Robbins or anybody else. That's actually neuroscience. Like, people can pay attention for a certain period of time, and then you need to quick switch it up, or else they're going to lose interest. Right. So you need to always have something random coming out, like a random fact about homosexual bats, right? That boom. Where's your attention at? Right. You know, it gets someone. It gets them in the moment. So motivation a lot is playing with the audience and saying, here's a little bit of inspiration, or here's a great story. Here's the purpose behind that story. Change scene. Well, here's the story. You know, like,
if you think about great music. Right? Great music has different choruses and hooks and rhythms. And so one of the reasons why, and they did scientific study on this, one of the reasons why Michael Jackson is so successful is because of the hooks, the choruses, and all those hee-hees and the it had stuff that like kept your attention all the time.
Exactly.
And was hyper stimulating. And, you know, the shoo, like all of those little things, like it kind of kept you. So, all right, so you work on connecting, then you change the energy, you bring the energy up, because in a heightened state,
Right.
Like they say when you're endorphins create bonding. So that's what they say if you're like on a first date with someone, do something exciting.
Right.
Because if you can create laughter or excitement, you create bonds.
That's it.
You know?
Take him skydiving. She'll love you after that.
Well, maybe not.
Yeah, another thing for you guys out there for dating, try to go 3 different places on your first date. So if you go somewhere for drinks or, appetizers, go to a separate place for dinner and a separate place for post drinks. That makes you feel like they've known you longer because they have 3 different dates with you as opposed to just one place.
That's very interesting.
Hashtag dating advice.
That's funny. I mean, I think that works for me and Vic because we go like to a million places all the time.
You guys are already like established. That's a different situation. I mean, like a first date, like, you're trying to like really impress.
But still,
like,
I really feel that you should keep the excitement up in the relationship all the time. And it's just, still, you're motivating your partner to stay with you.
That's why I moonwalk naked in the house.
What does your girlfriend say to that shit?
That's what she says when I moonwalk by. Keeps the fire going.
Okay.
All right, so back to motivation. So how else do you get the audience stimulated? A random sex joke always wins over the crowd. Well, depending what crowd you're in.
I don't know about that working out with the Mormons.
Yeah, that's not gonna fly. But I think the other thing
is, God underwear doing?
I think the other thing is big thing is you have to be educated. Okay, you have to know. Like when I present, I'm not a rah emotional presenter.
Right.
I'm more of like, here's neuroscience, here's the actual facts, and here's like just a dose of reality. That's more my style. Eric Thomas is more the emotion he brings and the passion he brings to his speech. I'm more of a laid back person, but I'm going to give you like facts and figures so you can really think about like, oh damn, like I never thought about it that way.
Right.
Or just give you an altered perspective, because it's like the thing with fear. Like people think, oh, you're so brave means that you're not scared of anything. No, it means you're scared shitless.
Yeah.
But you're willing to do it anyway.
Right. And fear is only there to heighten your sense of awareness so that you can get the job done. That's what it's.
Right.
No.
But people look at fear like, I'm too scared. I can never do that like the way you do it or whatever. It's like, no, it's not that I'm up there not afraid. Like when I get in front of an audience, I'm always, me and actually Mike Fitch are talking about this when we're on vacation. He was like, dude, I get up there like the day before, I'm I'm gonna forget everything and just get up there and blah, blah, blah. Like that's a real fear he has before he gets up there. But it's like, boom, as soon as the lights and the show's ready to go, it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, I can do this.
Yeah.
But having that fear it means you respect what you do and you care about it enough that you're worried that you're not going to do the best job possible.
Right.
So I think that's that's my style of presenting anyway. Again, everybody has their own style of doing it, and that's one of the beauties of motivating people. But mine's is to give you an altered perspective. I love to tell stories, whether it be just an inspirational story or just a story that actually did happen to me that's relatable for other people, because one thing that people forget, they think motivation has to be this grand old like, and then the bus came and I put my hand out and the bus just stopped and it was like, amazing story. He saved the dog.
I turned water into wine.
Yeah. And I pissed in the cup and then it was apple juice, whatever.
Your brain goes to the very random places.
It definitely does. But anyway, like that, like stuff like that, telling those stories, it could be a little story like, I was walking down the street and this woman was pulling like 4 luggages and I helped her, carry her bag, and then she gave me a $200. And
wow.
She was like, she was super wealthy and like no one would help her and she just needed like whatever. It could be a little story like that. That's not something magical that happened.
Well, it's also easy to remember because a story has a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a payoff, and that payoff makes it memorable. Maybe the payoff even has a soundbite where people say, this was the result of that story, and it's motivating because there's an outcome that connects to me. I am very motivated. Like I said, I'm very influenced by pop culture, so I have to watch and be careful of what I put in there because it'll stay in there, and I'll give you a stupid example. So about 15 years ago, Zootopia was U2's, came out with this album, Zootopia.
Zootopia?
It was not their finest hour, okay? So they had this one stupid ass song. It was I love U2. It was my favorite groups of all time. There's one stupid ass song where Bono was in like a devil's outfit and it was all psychedelic. And it was like lemon. Now I haven't heard the song. Seriously, that's the song. I haven't heard it in like 15 years.
It sounds like the Spanish guy, and I say lemon, coco cherry rainbow.
It's like that. So I'm exhausted because I was going to Oklahoma. 3 flights later, one got canceled. There was delayed, 3 delays sitting in airports. So I'm so tired. I'm out of my mind, and I'm at the hotel finally, and I get a water and I ask for lemon. So I squeeze the lemon, and out loud in front of a group of people, I just go lemon. And I'm like, where did that come from? And then I realized I haven't heard that song in 15 years, but it was still in there.
Still in there. Still stuck. Got you.
So I tell
got him.
I tell my boyfriend this story, and he's like, we've been singing lemon to each other for like a week now. But my point is that
You gotta find that song. I need to
so
hear this.
bad, so bad. I gotta find it for you. But it's just you stories influence you. People will tell me that they got into martial arts because of Ninja Turtles, because of Bruce Lee, because of Jean-Claude Van Damme, because of I tell people be careful what you watch or you listen to, because that energy or whatever is getting in there. It's psychosomatic, it's getting in there. You don't realize it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, that's like a great point as to why when people ask me what changed my life, and it's always 2 things. One is reading every night. So right before I go to bed, 10 pages of whatever book I'm reading, whether it be a motivational book, inspirational thing, something that talks about fitness or something. Every night before bed, 10 pages you got to read. The other thing is every morning is a YouTube, just watching something, a podcast or something positive. So at night I'm feeding myself or my brain something that's good. In the morning, first thing in the morning, I'm feeding it something. So the rest of the day, the BS I deal with people and the complaints and the drama and this on social media, whatever else, all that stuff gets washed away at night when my 10 pages. Yeah. And then in the morning when I start my day, start off on a good note. So, and I notice a difference, and I know what you're saying about music. If I'm driving to work and I hear, hose this and slap the dick, you listen to that kind of music on the way to work, and you're like, yo, I need to find some chicks to go chill. You're thinking about some random stuff, and you're at work like, why am I thinking about, this? Oh, because
and it's okay. You could listen to that stuff, but not not just be
some
selective.
people don't listen. That's the thing. Some people watch and say they listen, or they just hear the music, they don't listen to it. I'm like you, where I hear lyrics, I want to listen to the lyrics, and I'm like, wow, that song has a terrible meaning. Yeah, and I'll not listen to it no more. It could be the most popular song ever, but if I don't like the lyrics, I'm like, nah, I'm more of I like the lyrics.
And you have to figure out what triggers you too, what does help with your motivation, because I will be lazy, not want to do anything, and then Sabotage by the Beastie Boys come on, and I could probably lift 400 pounds.
just start bench pressing.
I don't know what the hell that song does. And then there's another song by Incubus, Megalomaniac. Okay. I could sprint. I could do 10 sprints to that song. I could be exhausted and do it.
But that song gets you going. Yeah, that's what inspires and motivates you, that song,
Well, we understand that there's psychological triggers, So I work with the police department, and I play a few characters because I do it as an acting job that have PTSD. Okay. So I have to have triggers. So for me, I spoke to this soldier once who said that when he was in Afghanistan and they were hiding in a building, the piping was so bad in these buildings that when the plumbing, you could hear water running. Oh. So they were in complete silence before they blew up the other part of the building. He survived. So before that explosion, it was complete silence, except just the water running. Oof. So now he says that if he goes into a bathroom or whatever, and all he hears is the pipes of water running, he has to calm himself down and not have a post-traumatic stress episode. Wow. And I was like, that's very interesting. So when they want to trigger me in the acting scene, I have this little Rambo moment where I lose it. I'm like, spill water. Yeah. And that'll... Right. Because acting is about sense memory and stuff like that. For actors, there's a lot about that. So I guess motivation, understanding your triggers. Right. Right. It goes back to what you said, how we started this podcast off was the whys. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when you motivate others, if there's 20, 30 people in a room, you can't get into each and everybody's why. So how do you...
there should be some kind of reason I'm there. They don't just say, come in and motivate us. It's, our team isn't doing well, or our kids have been, lazy and not working hard when it comes to sports. Because I do mostly athletics, so there'll be something that's going on with that team, or whatever they want to bring me in to go talk to them about, whatever. For example, one team, it was that team blamed the coach for everything.
Right.
So I went in, and my whole thing was to talk about when you blame or passing the buck onto someone else, you rob yourself the opportunity to learn something from it. So while I'm sitting there talking to him, it's like, well, guess what? You got beat 5 times down the field. Do you know whose fault that is? That's your freaking fault. Your coach isn't on the field. So the second you say, coach, it's your fault, like they scored or whatever. Like, no, it's your fault. I'm not on the field. Like, no matter what defense we ran, your guy ran past you. Like, doesn't matter what defensive set you put in place. Like, if someone beats you, they just physically outran you or out-hustled you, and you didn't work hard enough to recover. Or you didn't communicate with your teammates and say, hey, listen, I need help. Whether it be like on the basketball court, like I need some help side defense. I can't just let the guy go past me or whatever. Or if you're in football, hey, we're supposed to be in coverage, but I need to be in zone, not man, because I can't stand in front of this guy. Whatever the sport is. And I think that when I go in and talk about that stuff and put, that coach wanted me to talk about that because the players were all blaming him and none of it was his fault. I mean, obviously, there's probably some blame on the coach.
Yeah, because he might not be a good leader.
Yeah, he might just be a bad leader.
Right.
But in this case, I actually knew the coach and knew the whole organization. And it was like, no, it really was the kids themselves, like saying, like, just being jerks, basically. So I'll go in and pull their card on that. So that's going to help motivate them. And you also got to give them little things like takeaways. Because I think one of the worst things with motivational speakers, it's like, everyone, shake hands. Woohoo! Get up. All right, see you later. And then you're like, like you leave there like motivated, but I don't know what to do. Like it's like reckless energy. One of my favorite guys to listen to is Martin Rooney, who's in fitness.
Yeah, I know Martin Rooney.
And Martin's always like, train for warriors, rah, like get after it. And you go to these conferences, and then it's like, yeah, all right, see you guys later. And you're pumped up, and you just did this crazy workout, and you're like, rah, rah, rah. But it's like, whoa, what do I do with this energy now? But he's training for fitness. But if you're just walking into a room, it's not a fitness room. There's no running, there's no jumping, there's no nothing, and you're pumping people up. You have to give them some takeaways. Like, here, next time this happens, think of it this way. Next time this happens, think of it that way. Like one of the things I talk about with sports is you can't control the outcome of the game, right? All you can control is your effort and everything that you do as a person. So if you can internalize and say, we have to win this quarter. Because most people, they think too far. Like, it could be the first quarter, and you're down 10 points, and you're like, this game's over.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you got an entire game still to come back.
Right.
Like, look at the last Super Bowl. Like, everyone thought at halftime, this is over. And here comes Tom Brady, calm, cool, chilling, like, yo, we're about to win this. Right? Yeah. And then all of a sudden they win, and you're like, oh, my God, greatest comeback ever. Like, how do you do it?
I've seen that with fights all the time.
Yeah, he did that
I've
play
seen
by
a guy,
play.
He get beat up for 2.5 rounds. He went for submission attempt, submission attempt. Everything gets just denied. 2 rounds of this. He's on bottom. He's going for submissions. He cannot get anything from this guy. They stand up. He gets rocked again. He goes to the ground. And now the guy beating him up is getting like, you can't submit me. So he's getting a little cocky. Boom. Armbar.
Right.
And I said to him, I interviewed him after in the cage, and I'm like, a lesser man would have given up. You would have stopped going for submission attempts. He was like, I'm in a fight. I've got to continue to try until the bell rings.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, if he didn't think like that, he would have lost all 3 rounds.
Yeah, because then he would have changed his approach and be like, I got to do something else now, whatever. And it's like, no, this is what I got. Like, I'm going to give you what I got.
Yeah. Eventually, you're going to make a mistake, and I'm going to choke you out or submit you. And he did.
Yeah. And that's a great mindset to have, is I'm going to keep fighting till the bell rings. No matter what happens, I'm going to keep going to that bell rings.
Keep trying till the bell rings. And I was like, wow. And that did click with me. It did, because I could have given up so many times this career.
Right.
I could have given up so many times. So many times I was denied, things like that, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't.
Right.
And I don't know, honestly, it was desperation. Like, I had nothing else, and I just had to keep going. But
well, part of that isn't what with 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying. It's like, you're going to keep going until, like, you've exhausted all the resources and it doesn't happen, but at least you gave it every ounce you possibly could. And that's what you've been doing with this, which is amazing. And it's honestly inspiring to watch you do what you do and get the opportunities you have. We were actually talking about it before you came in. We were like, damn, she does so much and does this and does that. And it's like really inspiring to watch you work. But I've gotten the phone calls from you and it's like, no, nothing's happened. They picked this person because of this and and it's all these things. And it's like, you're the type of person that you blurt it out and it's gone. But there's a lot of people who live with that inside of them and never let it out.
Yeah.
And that's what, not to say to go crazy, but that's what draws people in, that fear of letting it out and just saying, like, saying how it really is.
And I feel that if you feel desperation and you feel like you need to give up, I think exploring it is okay. But I think that if you give yourself, what I do is I give myself 12 to 24 hours to be a disaster.
Nice.
I do.
Let it all out.
I have to explore all these feelings. Why do I feel this way? What happened to me when I was 7? And it probably comes from acting because I have to understand my motivations and whatever, all my processes. But then I'm like, well, all right, I'm done with that now.
Right.
How long am I going to sit like this?
You want some food?
Yeah. I'm like, all right, I'm good. And I've had friends be confused, like, oh, she's on the edge, like she gonna jump, like
Right.
that type of shit. I'm like, no, I'm just gonna cry and bitch and moan, and
Yeah, I got another 3 hours of this, and then I'll be gone.
I'm good now. So sometimes I encourage people, like my friends, like are upset, and I remember there's 2 of us, and one of them was like, just suck it up, man, just suck it up. And I was like, hold on. Let's find out why she's upset.
Right. And be upset.
Yeah.
It's okay to be upset.
I'm like, okay. I used to I was like that. I had that male energy, was like, find a solution, let's move. I'm like, all right, let me listen. You know, if I'm still talking to you about the same shit in a week, I'm irritated.
Yeah,
but if you
that's
like,
too much.
you want a day to like, just, okay. Like,
It's like when you're in traffic and you tell someone to go.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, go ahead. And then they don't go. And you're like, go. And then they don't go. Like, motherfucker, like, I'm stopped so you can go. Like, that's the way I'm with people. Like, I'll let you bitch and moan one time. The second time, but the third time, I'm like, yo, get over it. Like,
Yeah.
It's been a month. Like, figure it out.
Okay, I understand that this is how you feel, but what do you plan to do about that?
Exactly.
And that's the question I'll ask them. Like, what do you plan to do about it? That totally sucks. Completely agree with you. Not going to argue with it. What do you plan to do about it? But what I have a hard time motivating myself is when I can't figure out what to do. That's the hardest thing. When you're like, I don't know how to make myself feel this way, or make myself want this or whatnot, and you feel stuck. And everyone has felt stuck at one point where they feel like they don't have an option because of whatever circumstance.
I think that in that case, and actually it was funny, I just started reading about Stoicism and I read some stuff on it. And one of the things is everything to them is either good, bad, or indifferent.
Right.
Like it's in 1 of 3 categories. So if there's something that's beyond your control, like you really can't harp on it because it's beyond your control.
Right.
Like for example, if you're going for a role, and there's people there who aren't hiring you, and you've gone to them and said, well, why didn't I get hired? I want to know so I can get better at this, that, and the third. And they're like, you're just not a fit right now.
Right.
That's not something you did wrong. Like you just don't fit in what they're looking for at that moment. You can't change that. So to be upset and mad about, you can be upset you didn't get the opportunity, but if to harp on it, like, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm this, that's when it gets you in trouble. So you have to be indifferent to it. Like they just didn't pick me, so I'm going to find another way. And that's when I think one of the things they talk about is, I know Bruce Lee has something about make no way out of a way or something like that.
Yeah, use no way as way, no limitation as limitation.
Right, I knew you would know the quote. So, but like for Stoics, they have a similar belief where it's like, whatever your obstacle is, then that becomes the way. So I'm reading a book now called The Obstacle is the Way. So like whatever's stopping you, that's actually what's going to help you find the true way to get through. But you have to take that obstacle and turn it, or take adversity and turn it into opportunity.
Yeah, and
somehow.
this is similar, like we say with like the art of war, know thy enemy, right? So then you know how to battle it correctly. You have to change your plan or your perspective, or have a contingency plan, or things like that. And now is not the right moment to attack. There's a lot of ways to strategize and to figure out it. But I truly, truly believe you can get what you want.
Yes.
And I think the old way of thinking, the older generations who were like, oh, that's not possible, you can't have that, that's not for everybody, that it stunts people's growth.
It does. It blocks the opportunity. And that's one thing I know for one thing I grew up with. I'm not sure my parents didn't have the money. So everything's like, we can't afford that.
Yeah,
we can't afford that. We can't afford it. We can't afford that. So I'm still dealing with that in my own mind.
Right.
Like I'm looking at people. I used to think people with a lot of money were bad. Like
me too.
I used to be like, oh, look at them in a Bentley. Like that was a jerk. Like why would you drive a Bentley? That guy may like feed homeless people around the world. Like Tony Robbins gives like millions of meals to people. And I'm looking at you like, oh, why would you have money? Like, what is wrong with me? You know what I mean? Like I had to take a huge step back and reflect. Like what an idiot! I'm the jerk, mad at them because they're successful in their own right. They could be miserable, but I know. So my mom would always say that, and I remember in the Rich Dad Poor Dad, he talked about one of the things is instead of saying I can't afford that, say like how can I afford that?
Right.
So start looking at things, and now that opens up a whole box of opportunities of like, if I want that car, what are the steps I would need to take to get that? Not that the car is important, but the steps to get it could change my life.
Yeah.
You know, so start looking at things in that aspect. Like one of the huge things I had to do in my life was I had a full-time job making, full benefits, pay and everything. And I wanted certain things in my life, like be able to come on and do like stuff like this with you and other people. And I wanted to speak more and everything else. And I realized that my job was taking up all my time. And like I was turning down opportunities. So one of the things I had to take a step back and look was, well, if I really want this, like I say I do, then I got to stop crying and bitching and moaning and give up this huge, great thing for something hopefully I may be better, and that's something I had to do. And it's been life-changing, and I'm going through that struggle right now, but it's a
growing
growth.
Pains.
That's
it's growing pains.
It's human growth, or evolution, which is great.
Yeah.
Great part of the journey.
All right, so I'm going to find the Dave Chappelle secret thing. And I'll play it.
Because I guess I've been like depressed. And you be depressed and people be like trying to cheer you up. And then I had in show business. That's what made me so mad about it. So they'd be saying stupid, hey, Dave, look, I know that was a rough experience, and I can only imagine what you've been through, but, you just got to hang in there. And what you got to do is you just got to keep your chin up. Just keep your chin up, Dave. Word. That's what I was doing. That's what I was doing wrong. My chin was too low. Shut the fuck up. It had nothing to do with my chin, nigga.
Oh, God.
Keep your chin up. What kind of shit is this? See niggas walking around show business. Oh, I know.
He's got his chin all the way up in the air.
Oh, God, I love him.
So, this girl I knew sent me a book called The Secret. She was like, listen, Dave, if this is going to help you, it's called The Secret. I thought this, And I started reading the book, and I read like 5 pages of shit and threw it in the trash. I was fucking... I can't believe they sell this shit. Do you know what this bitch says the secret of life is? She said it was positive imagery. You gotta visualize the things you're gonna have happen in your life. Like, bitch, that's the secret of life to you? Then kill yourself.
It gets better. Wait.
It's gotta mean more than that.
Oh, my God.
Positive imagery. The bitch fly to Africa and tell one of them starving children that shit. What's wrong with you? I have not eaten in 5 days. What you need to do is visualize some roast beef and some mashed potatoes and gravy. Oh, please, bitch, you're killing me. Stop talking like that. No. The problem is you have a bad attitude about starving to death.
That's Dave Chappelle in The Secret.
Oh, my God. That is classic. I just love his comedy because he takes stuff to the extreme of it so that, it makes it funny, but it almost gives you a perspective of like, damn, that's true. Like, why would, visualization is not going to help people in every situation possible.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
It's important to think positive, but I think it's also be realistic. And people think like, when I say realistic, they're like, that's just a negative attitude. I'm like, I don't believe the glass is half empty or half full. I think it's half liquid and half gases.
Yeah, it just is.
Surrounded by a solid.
Yeah.
Like, I see exactly what's in front of me, and then I know that I need strategic elements of possibility to make things happen.
Right.
And I don't think that's the secret, and I don't think that's positive, nor is it negative. It's realistic, and I also don't... realistic could be looked at as perspective. Am I looking at it as realistic, like, oh, this fucking sucks? Or is it realistic, like, this is what it is, but there's a possibility to make things better because anything could get better or worse.
Right. Definitely.
Like, but for you to think, like, I'm just going to visualize a check and it's going to come. No, it's not.
No, you got to work for it. I think that's the biggest misconception is people don't work hard for it.
Right. I don't think that's necessarily exactly what the law of attraction is trying to say.
No.
But I think that's a lot of how the public like took it. Like,
Well, because
you know?
if you read the book, it's very much, it's just like snippets. It's like boom,
Yeah.
cha, boom, 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 boom. Like,
Yeah.
it's like fluff. You know, even
Yeah.
the way it's designed and everything, it has like these ancient scrolls and like you're finding
Yeah.
this ancient wisdom of law
Yeah.
of attraction. When if you just think about it, it's like a global consciousness. Like, all right,
Right.
if we're all trying to get to something,
Right.
if I'm asking everyone I run into, hey, I need an investor. If I ask enough people, eventually I'm gonna find an investor, and they'll be like, "Hey, I'm an investor. Oh, cool. Oh my God, law of attraction worked." No, you
Yeah.
asked 500 people, and the 501 person was an investor. You know, so you still have to chase those opportunities.
Yeah.
And I think it'll come to you, but you have to continue to put yourself in what I think Eric Thomas talks about is miracle territory. Like, put yourself in a place where that's likely to happen. That's why so many actors are in New York and LA.
Yeah.
You know, you don't see that many actors flocking to Mississippi.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm gonna beware the waters deep. Like they say, you want to launch big ships, gotta go where the water's deep. So find the arena you want to be in and then get in that somehow. And that's why the internet's so powerful, because you don't need to be anywhere.
What else? I mean, we've talked about psychology as a motivation. We've talked about finding your why as a motivation. We talked about pop culture and elements and Facebook and friends. Friends being a tremendous motivation and influencer.
Huge.
Oh my God, that's
Mentors and that stuff.
That's where I'm so wealthy. I feel like the greatest gift ever given to me was my ability to accumulate just
amazing friends.
Yeah, I don't know how. I used to say to my coach, Phil Nurse, I'd be like, "Oh, I'm so lucky that." He's like, "You're not lucky. You created this. I want you to take responsibility for it."
You did.
And I think it's really important. And I tell people all the time, don't surround yourself by people who say it can't be done. Surround yourself with people who are doers, because then you'll realize that it's not magic to make things happen. You know, and you can watch yourself grow together.
When you say that, I just think of like, surround yourself with doers, not don't-ers, or something stupid.
Are you a Puerto Rican or a Puerto Ricant?
Which one are you?
It's awful. So awful. But yeah, I think that's, you know, what else though? I mean, I know that you are very up to date with like your reading and who are people that like you should look out for.
So I wrote down my list of top 5 and I stretched it to 10 motivational speakers in no particular order. Les Brown's always been the top favorite of mine, and not because one thing I start looking at, and I know you're in definitely the same boat when you listen to certain commentators, is once you get past the content, now you're starting to look at the delivery. So when I used to listen to speakers, at first it was all the content. I'm like, now I'm looking at the delivery. Like, one of the greatest speakers, I think, underrated speakers, and people can argue this, is Barack Obama.
Yeah,
he's a phenomenal public speaker. Like, the guy's amazing. Like, his pauses and just the way he works in audience and the crowd, the guy's off the charts. Like, so I look at more their delivery. So Les Brown, to me, is like a nice calm. I like his delivery of stuff, and including his content. Eric Thomas, just because he came in at a time in my life where I just felt like I needed that, like, don't sleep. Like, I needed his like energy. He's
considered the hip hop preacher.
Yes.
So he does speak to sort of the urban element in us, and I think that really works for him. Yeah,
he's found his market and his niche, and I think it's phenomenal. So he's been one of my top guys, and he wrote a book, The Secrets to Success, which is a great book as well. And I think I was one of the first 500 people to get it. So I got like autographed copy and stuff. I'm like, yes, I feel so special.
Awesome.
But he's just great. Jim Rohn is another one. He does more sales and stuff. But he's like Southern. I'm not even sure if Jim Rohn, I think he passed away. But he his delivery and his like accent just made stuff funnier.
Yeah.
But he used a lot of biblical references, which works for some people, worked for him. So I like his stuff. Miles Monroe, who passed away in a plane crash, but he was from Bahamas. And his delivery, again, he had that accent. He used a lot of the Bible stuff, but he was just a great speaker. Alan Watts is more a philosopher. I love his stuff. I mean, he's just more realistic, like philosophy. He's not even motivation. He's just like telling how it is. But like you were saying before, like just that dose of reality. It's not like nothing's good or bad. It is. You know, it is. And he just generally gives information. Obviously, Tony Robbins has to be on the list if you're talking about motivational speakers. Zig Ziglar, who did a bunch of sales stuff. Another favorite of mine as a storyteller was Wayne Dyer.
Oh, yeah.
Wayne Dyer is a great storyteller.
Yeah.
Like his speeches, it's crazy because he's just literally telling stories about his family and stories about people he's met. And through the story intertwines like his message.
Well, stories are morality tales. They're supposed to give you an insight into the human condition. That's why we're touched to go to the movies to escape ourselves. But deep down inside, we want to learn something. You know, deep down inside, you want to feel a connection to the character.
Yeah, and he just combined everything so well. Icky Johnson, who's recently come up, he's like a college football player who like was paralyzed in his arm, and he has just great speech about his coming up and upbringing. And one person, I think you'll know why. I say Jay-Z is a motivational speaker to me.
He is. I agree with that.
Especially with the last album. Crazy.
I think so as well.
Yeah, because he hides all his stuff within the lyrics of the songs. But for some reason, and I know it's going to sound crazy, and you know how I am a Jay-Z fan, but every time he drops an album, it's always like something in my life that album speaks to.
Right.
And this last album's like the perfect timing for me.
Yeah, because this one's about being a grown-up.
It's about being a grown-up, being a man with a husband and wife and kids and all this stuff. And it really talks about that part. And I'm transitioning to that part of my life where it's like the player is kind of fading away and like the family guy is starting to come up and grow, you know, like
I knew this day would come.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know, you hear a song, like I'm singing songs in my head now, like I gotta paint the garage, you know, like I'm excited to paint the garage now, go to Home Depot. Like Home Depot.
Oh my God.
Hey.
I was so excited to buy closet organizers this week. And I couldn't wait for my boyfriend to come home and see how I had
organized the closet.
Yes. I'm like, look at this.
Yeah. I bought a ladder yesterday and I was so excited. I'm like, a ladder. I bought like the 4-in-1 ladder. And I'm just like, yes. I'm like raising the ladder up and down. I'm like practicing with it. Like, what the hell? Like, who is this guy?
I know.
You know, but you have to grow up. And I think if you have title, which I'm
it's a long way from us at the club.
Yes.
Doing, what do they call it? Step Up 3?
Step Up 3. We were dancing at what was it, Hogs and Heifers?
Hogs and Heifer. It was like some country. They were playing like country music.
Yeah, and we were dancing.
And we were just like, fuck it, we'll go with it.
She's a megaphone. Like, what's this? Step It Up 3?
Because it was like a good 6 songs. We hadn't stopped.
Yeah, we were crushing it. We were winning that day. It was a good time.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But Jay-Z, I agree. And for me, it's of course Bruce Lee. But the most motivating is Sylvester Stallone.
Yes.
Sylvester Stallone could say some shit, and I'm just like, you know?
He just pulls on your heartstrings.
It really
does.
I don't know what it is. I guess I got to go to hypnotherapy for that one and figure out why. But, you know, you find these icons or these things that people say or a quote, and it touches you for some reason. And I tell people, like, maybe create a book of quotes or... You know, write something down, read something every single day, like something that just gets to you, just like triggers you in some way, you know?
And over again, that's the biggest thing. Everybody thinks I read something one time and I'm done. Like, no, always revisit it. Like if it really inspired you, highlight it, write it down. And then like you said, when you need it, go back and look at it. Because as you grow in life, as you evolve and as you go down through your journey, that same message is going to mean something completely different in 5 years. Like I go back and listen to old albums. I listened to like Eminem's first album. I'm like, damn, he said what?
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, that was
you didn't
really
realize
deep.
it.
Yeah.
I see Rocky every year on my birthday, and I see different things about the movie. Where in the beginning, when I was a kid, it was all about the action and the fighting. Then when I got older, it was more about him being down on his luck.
Right.
Then as I got a little older and I was training, it was about him and Mickey.
Right.
You know, then it was about him and Adrian. I saw the love story in it. Then it was about just his struggle as an adult and his relationship and friendship with Paulie. Like I always see something element in it every time I watch it.
That's
you know.
Crazy.
Then as I got older, I saw the comedy in it. I saw how many little like quips were in there that I didn't realize were funny. That like in Rocky 2, he goes, Rocky, you know, you got a little money now. You should think about investing. He's like, investing? He's like, yeah, condominiums, they're safe. He goes, condominiums? I never use them. It's like hilarious.
No, it is. It was like the last Rocky when Apollo or Creed or whatever it was.
Yeah, I call it Rocky 7.
Yeah, Rocky 7. He's like, it's in the cloud. He's like, he looks up. He's like, the cloud. Right? Just There's those little like
Yeah.
one-liners in there. You got to really be paying attention to
Right.
get it. Yeah.
And Stallone is very funny. Do you need gloves?
Oh, you asking me?
No, I'm asking the people out there. Do you need gloves? Do you need hand wraps? Do you need shorts? Do you need shoes? Do you need everything every single thing that any type of person involved with combat sports would need?
Yeah.
Are you like my Flavor Flav? You're my hype man? All
Yeah.
right. If you need those things, you can go to everlast.com and use my code.
Use it.
IFS 15 for how much percent off? 15% off.
15? That's good. That's good.
That I'm generous.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Do it.
15% off. Everlast.com.
It looks good,
IFS
feels good,
15.
functions well. Good stuff.
Thank you. So we do this segment on the show called 10 Rounds with Phoenix. And during the first episode, I already asked Quish. Quish is your new name. I asked Chris these questions. So now he's going to ask me 10 questions that he came up with.
Yeah.
So we're flipping it today. So now I finally have to be the one
You're
to
in the
answer
hot
stuff.
seat.
All right, what do you got?
All right, here we go. Was it 10 rounds?
Yeah.
10 rounds with Phoenix, Carnevale, and Quish. And all right, so here we go. Some of these you may have answered already during the podcast. Some are just random ones. But what song gets you pumped? Boom, boom, boom.
Well, Sabotage by the Beastie Boys. Also, anything like Old Cypress Hill. And, Wu-Tang.
Nice, Wu-Tang, always. Who was your first mentor?
Real,
Yeah.
not on television.
Not on television, first real life mentor.
Kaicho Nakamura was my karate instructor.
Nice.
He was like my first real mentor.
What's your favorite quote? Or one of your favorite quotes, let's say.
The things you own end up owning you.
Is that a Fight Club quote? What advice would you give a fighter coming into the ring for a theme song?
Like coming in, like
They come out like when they come to the ring. Like, what song would you give them to come out to? What advice would you give them?
whatever puts them in a state of relaxation, but without being too relaxed. Like it's a song that doesn't make you anxious, doesn't make you angry, makes you like ready.
So coming out to like a raging song when they're like, yeah, too much.
And it's too much if it's gonna like give them an adrenaline dump.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What's your favorite superhero song?
Oh, I like the X-Men. It doesn't have words though, but I just like the music. Like I love it. I absolutely love it.
Oh my god. Who would you love to fight just once?
Oh, there was this bitch.
Oh damn, Phoenix going hood on you guys.
This bitch,
Be ready.
like at my old martial arts school. I just hated her face. Like she was mean to people. She was mean to people for no reason, and she would intimidate new people that would come in. And she was
Fix your face.
sarcastic, and I just never got to unleash. Never.
One day, if you see her in the train one day.
Just her.
Favorite food that gets you motivated, like you eat a food, you're like, oh, I'm so hyper.
Tootsie Rolls.
Tootsie.
It makes me hyper. It's not my favorite food, but I remember having like a Tootsie Roll and then like had like a sugar high, and it was like crazy.
Tootsie Roll. That Tootsie Roll to left.
Yeah.
Strangest pickup line someone's ever given to you.
It was something about there's 206 bones in the human body. I have 207.
What?
I have 200 like he had a bone, and I was like, I think I could break a few of them if you don't get the fuck away from me.
Oh my god.
I'm cursing so much today. I don't know why.
Oh man. Well, I can't get
Cursing
over
so much today.
that. What was your most embarrassing moment? Like
Okay,
public moment.
I'll
Public
tell you.
moment.
I'll tell you. This is a really embarrassing moment. You guys can't see this, But so, you know, when you like go to put your hand on your chin and lean on your hand and like your elbow is on like a table. So there was this kid, John Shishadi. I was in like the 5th grade. I liked John Shishadi so much. So I went to go lean on the table and I missed the table and smacked my face hard against the table to the point where I like bruised my jaw and everything.
Oh gosh.
And he was like, "You okay?" And I was like, "I gotta go now." So embarrassing.
Oh man. And last but not least, who's your greatest, or what would you say is your greatest inspiration?
It's so hard to say, but
So many.
there's so many. But
There
I
is so
think
many.
just martial arts in general,
Okay.
like just the arts, just martial arts have always inspired me to be better, because martial arts encompasses so many things. It encompasses balance and yin and yang and like being hard and soft at the same time. And I just think martial arts in general has been, and anything in that genre has been a huge motivation for me. And the other would be comedy,
Nice.
because there's so much truth in comedy. Like I listen to things that Chappelle says or Chris Rock says or Louis C.K. And I'm like, oh man, it's such a true
Yeah.
thing. Like, so yeah, that's it. And that's the world I'm involved with now.
Amen.
You know, and that's it. And that's it from us. Chris, anything to add?
No, nothing at this time. I'm excited to be back again. Hopefully you guys like it and you tell Phoenix, bring this dude back and we rock it out again.
Where can people find you?
Everywhere. You can find me on Facebook. Flow Fitness is the name of the brand. FLO Fitness, no W. On Instagram, Flow_Fitness. On Twitter, Flow_Fitness. And if you go on Facebook on Phoenix's stuff, you can find me on her page making fun of her or some randomness happening. But if you need a speech or a public speak, you want to come and motivate your staff or your team or whatever, flowfitness@gmail.com. Email me and we'll set it all up. Thank you very much for your time and having me here today, and hopefully we'll be back.
Yep. See you later, guys. Thanks again. Ciao.
Ready for my close-up, Mr. President.